All right, Collins, here's the first video for icing consistency. So I like to keep my icing in just like leftover Tupperware. And then I use press and seal, and I make sure that it's like right up against the icing. So this is what it looked like. This is probably about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 days old. And because I kept it sealed really well, and then I always kept the lid on it, it's just fine. You can have it like this for up to 2 weeks. And so what I did is I scooped some out and I put it in another just like Tupperware thing, and I added 1.5 teaspoons. So I probably took out, I don't know, maybe like 1.5 cups of icing out of here and put it in here. I would only start with maybe 1/2 cup or 1 cup of icing, because when you start to add water, it really makes it go a little bit farther. So, and you don't want to have your icing out uncovered. So I'm going to cover this back up and put the lid on. And I just have a little cup of water and a measuring spoon here. So this is actually, like I said, this is about 1.5 cups of the icing, just like right after you're done mixing it, and it's really super stiff. The glue that I was talking about. And then, like I said, I added 3 of these, so that's 1.5. And the way that you kind of think about it is like it kind of falls off the spoon in like a big glob. That, and it kind of leaves this V shape. That right there is a really good piping consistency. So that's like if you want to make an outline on a cookie, or if you want to write a name or write a word, this would be perfect for that. Or sometimes after you let cookies dry, you can like add some detail on top of it. So this is good for outlining and writing or adding little extra details. So what I'm going to do is show you next is how to put the frosting, put the icing in a bag. So I got these off of Amazon. They are called a tipless bag, because that means you don't have to use these fancy tips. I have a ton of them. And I will say, while they were super fun when I started, they weren't so fun after I had to take them out and clean them, and it was a little bit more hassle than I liked. So I started doing some research, and other cookie decorators who like do this for a living said to get tipless bags. So what you want to do is get a tall cup. Might be a little too wide. Yeah, it's a little too wide. Let me go get a different one real quick. All right. So this is perfect. Fingers down in it so you can open it. It's really easy to put the icing in. I'm going to use this to do some details on Zach and Zeke's adoption day cookies. And so I'm not going to need all of this. I'm not going to need to use all of this. So probably, let's see, what am I going to do with it? I'm going to do I'm gonna write names with it and do some stripes and stuff. So I think maybe even just a little bit. Okay. And then you can take it off and just squeeze it down the bag. You can also get the, well, I don't think you can get tipless from Walmart. And the reason why you have to get tipless is because it has only one seam. So that means it's only been put together, when they make it in the factory or whatever, it's only been connected in one place. If it's been connected in like two places, if it has two seams, then it kind of seems like that's a seam on the other side, but it's really just a fold. And the reason why that's important is because the little tips I was talking about, you know, they're perfectly round. You know, they're perfectly round. A lot of cookie decorating is used with just your basic round ones, just in smaller sizes. This is pretty big. So the reason why you only want one seam is because there's a really cool trick with these that I'll show you here in just a second. All right. So I like to twist and then put a knot in the bag as best as you can. It'd be kind of tricky. Because then it doesn't like spew out the top when you're decorating. It doesn't pop out the top. It stays really secure. Okay. All right. So there's that seam. What you do is you just get it up right. You want it in the middle. So you want that seam like right in the middle. And then I'm not going to cut it now because I don't want air to get in here and dry the icing out. But you just make sure that that's right in the middle. And you can cut it as small as you want, but you have to make sure that your scissors are nice and straight when you're doing it. Because when you have that seam down the middle like this and then you cut it, it creates a round hole for the icing to come out of. And that's why you want tipless, because they specifically make the tipless kind so that you don't have to use these tips. You can just pipe right out of the bag, and I'll show you that here in a little bit when I'm decorating. Okay, that's for piping, that's for details. But I also am going to flood cookies. So flooding is exactly what it sounds like. It's just you want it runny so that it just basically kind of floods. But you don't want it to be so runny. So there's out there they have, it just kind of depends on what you like to work with. So there's 20-second icing, 15-second icing, and 10-second icing. I really prefer the 15-second. So what that means is you just want to add water. So I would only add maybe a half a teaspoon to start with. It's so much easier to add a little bit rather than add too much, because if you add too much, you have to like put powdered sugar back in here, and it's just kind of a pain. So don't add too much at one time. So now it's getting a little runnier, but not much. So I'm going to add another. Let's see, I think I can go ahead and add. And I'm kind of watching it to see how it moves. I'm not going to add the full teaspoon. I added about half of that, or half teaspoon, so a fourth of a teaspoon. Stirring that around. you'll notice the top of your bowl gets crusty. That's normal. It just, royal icing just dries like that. That's why you kind of have to work a little quick with it. So the piping, the piping stuff that I just showed you, that dries faster than flooding. So you have to make sure that you get this in your little bag, as you don't have to work so fast where it's stressful, but just you want to be mindful of getting it in the bag. Okay, so now it's really kind of running off the spoon. So let me see if I can get a little closer here. All right. So what 15-second icing means is if I were to draw a line in my icing, see if I can, I like to use the ribbon method really. So basically you let it fall and you kind of make these little ribbons, and then you watch the lines to see how long it takes to disappear. So we're at like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's not quite there yet. This is probably about 25-second icing. So I'll add just another half of this, so another 1/4. And I know that seems like, oh my gosh, that's such a tiny amount of water, but it really does, it really does just take that. Honestly, this is the thing that takes the longest for me, is mixing the icings and getting the colors, and because I'm gonna have to I'm doing white, blue, yellow, and green, and I need a piping icing for each of them and a flood icing for each of them. So I'm making 8, I'm making 8 bags. So that is really kind of what takes the longest. Okay, there's those pretty ribbons. Okay, now I'm gonna watch it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And it's hard to see with white icing, but this is all pretty much back to being flat again. So I think that's where I want it. I'll just double check again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That looks pretty good. Okay. All right. So now I'm probably gonna have to make more of this. So, but what I'm gonna do, as steady as I can, is put this into a squeeze bottle, because I'm gonna have to use a lot of it. So I don't normally use a squeeze bottle though, but with these I will, because I know that I need a lot of flooding icing, because I'm gonna have to do 12 cookies in white. So covering 12 cookies is gonna need quite a bit of icing. So there's the difference between your detail and your piping icing, okay, and your flood icing. And then I will show you another video on the difference of how to use them whenever I'm ready to decorate.